Recording in progress.
Hey everyone, this is Jonathan from EthStaker. Welcome to community call number 60. We're excited for this one. We have a few special guests to talk about getting ready for Buenos Aires and getting into Argentina for Devconnect. So we have Patricio Worthalter here, and he's going to be our resident expert on all things Argentina and visiting Buenos Aires. And then we also have to help lead the conversation with him, Anthony Sassano, who's in the room here with us also. So yeah, excited to have you guys. I don't really have a lot else to say other than we're going to be taking questions from the YouTube chat. Please be speaking up there. We'll be monitoring that. And yeah, we also have people here from the community like Nixo, Hanny, Nolan, and yeah. And so I think we can kind of get into it. Do you guys want to take it from here and just I think people already know who you are, but you can intro yourselves and just get started with the questions we have prepared about making the trip.
I think it's better to let the Aussie start because he's further ahead in the timeline. Like I'm sure it's like a Saturday there.
Yeah, it's Saturday at 8 a.m. for me. It's funny, I'm in the same hemisphere as South America, like generally, and as Argentina, but like completely different time zones. So that's funny. But yeah, I mean, I guess like most people probably know me, Anthony Sassano or Sassel, run something called the Daily Way, which is currently on hiatus. People are going to mention that, but basically just like the world's biggest ETH maxi. And I'm super excited for Devconnect in Argentina because I've never been there. I've never even been to South America generally. So it'll be my first time there. And I'm sure that's true for a lot of people actually flying in. And it's just a really good reason to go because Devconnect is one of the best ETH conferences ever. You know, I've always enjoyed my time at Devconnects and this DevCon, which I guess is a sister conference. But obviously, as I said, there's a lot of people that are going to be going to Argentina for the first time and they have a lot of questions about various things because you hear things online. You don't know what to believe. So we have the resident expert here today, Patricio, who is born and raised, that will allow us to kind of get a better understanding of what it's going to be like. But I'll let him kind of intro himself as well, and then we can go into the questions.
Thank you, Sassal. I am Patricio. For nearly 40 years, I've been honing my Buenos Aires knowledge, and I'm not afraid to say that I'm kind of an expert in Buenos Aires by now. Like I follow Buenos Aires news. I fight with people in Reddit about Buenos Aires when they say mean or incorrect things about it. That happens a lot. Between my group of friends, I am the go-to person for Buenos Aires. So I found fitting to put together this show for everyone to get all their questions. But before I start answering questions, I have one question for you, Sassal. You've been in the industry for nearly 10 years as well. People want you to go to all their conferences, but you rarely do. You only go to kind of DevCon and Devconnect, and you never go to Token 2049 or ETHDenver or even ETHCC. ETHCC, it's as Ethereum-centric as Devconnect, and you still, I'm sure it must be that the French don't like you, and I don't, like, I don't blame them, but still, why is Devconnect the only conference that you attend?
Yeah. So I guess like the boring answer is that really it's kind of travel time. HCC is, as you said, like in France, in Europe. Europe is the worst kind of place to get to if you live in Australia in terms of travel time and jet lag. And yeah, it like I used to go to more conferences than just DevCon or Devconnect. But yeah, I really only go to those now because of the fact that I can't handle doing that kind of travel, you know, multiple times a year. I know that you do it all the time. Like you're a jet setter, you travel the world. You seem to handle it well. But for me personally, I don't like disrupting my routine like that. Even if it's to go to something like a ETH conference. But maybe one day I'll go to ECC. You know, I've heard very good things about that. But the other ones you mentioned, like Token and other, I guess you could call them crypto conferences, they're just commercial kind of conferences, right? Like they've just got sponsors everywhere and they're not really kind of ETH centric at all. And I'm just not interested in that. You know, everyone knows me as an ETH maxi, and that's completely true. I'm only really interested in Ethereum. So I'm not going to kind of make the effort to go to conferences where I know that it's not going to be to, I guess, my liking there. But I mean, I am making the trip to Argentina, which is whatever it is, a 17-hour time difference. It's going to take me like 18 hours to get there. But yeah, I know that Devconnect is going to be good. It's going to be ETH centric. So it's worth the trip, I think.
Thank you for the answer. I kind of knew that it all boils down to being lazy, but it's okay. Um, um, a- Again, before we go into the main menu of questions, a couple housekeeping announcements. This is EthStaker's call number 60. It's pretty impressive how much of a long way we have come since we started with the Topaz Network community event by Nolan and Superfish and Buddha. And I praise the consistency of the EthStaker crew putting together these shows. Um, and I think this is quite a highlight. So I'm very honored that they have let me take over this space for the 60th time. As many of these staker events, for reasons that I don't completely know, they have been very effective and giving collectibles to people that join their events. And for this one, there's two. There's one POAP for watching this event live, which is going to be like a secret word POAP. And then there's one that anyone can get online by doing a little donation of like 0.001 Ether or something. We are going to show some information about how to get these two POAPs nearing the end of the show. And people that got these POAPs will be eligible to join a little raffle with some secret surprise prizes, some of them quite exciting. So make sure you get at least a free POAP. Both POAPs are eligible for the raffle, having the two double your chances of winning something, but only getting the free one makes you still eligible. So that was some high housekeeping. Now we have a huge amount of questions. So if you don't get yours answered, shout in the YouTube chat because we don't want to miss the questions that people really want to have answers for. So don't be shy. We will have someone monitoring the YouTube channel and make sure that we don't miss anything. So I think that's for housekeeping.
Yep, great. So I guess like without further ado, we can jump into the questions. As Patricio said, there are a lot of them, so we'll try to be concise in our answers here. The way it'll run is basically I'll be asking the questions, and Patricio will of course be answering them as our resident expert here as best he can. I'm sure he's going to give like really great answers, so I'm excited here. So Patricio, you're speaking English. You speak English well, but people may be wondering, does everyone in Argentina speak English? Do I need to learn Spanish? Like, I'm not going to learn Spanish because it's just not gonna happen in time, of course. So yeah, does everyone speak English? Like, is that going to be fine in terms of kind of the language barrier?
Good question. I'm somewhat ashamed that I'm gonna sidetrack the question. Like on the first question, I'm already sidetracking the agenda poorly, but I cannot give you a pass on this. So you asked whether people speak English in Argentina, and I tell you, Argentina, it's a 40 million people country. It's fairly wide. It's on the in the top 10 countries by size, like by land in the world. And I am an expert in Buenos Aires. Argentina gave me a passport. It gave me some of an identity, but people need to know that Buenos Aires, it's its own bubble within Argentina. And it is not safe to equalize recommendations. Like if someone tells you they all speak English in Buenos Aires, that doesn't necessarily apply to Argentina, and it doesn't apply to Argentina, I confirm. So I need to make some distinction. My default, when I do recommendations or say things, they apply to Buenos Aires, which is the 10 million people metropolitan area where you will be. There are plenty of things to say about Argentina. We may talk about Argentina one day, maybe in a different call, but let's remember that most of what I will say is regarding Buenos Aires, which is like the urban center. Now, English literacy is pretty good. People speak English, even if they don't. English and Spanish have similar roots, so you can easily find your way, and you don't need to learn any Spanish, nor have a translator, nor be worried about it. In your normal expected activities, like going to a hotel, dining out, taking a taxi, doing your conference things, you may as well speak Japanese only, and you will probably find your way. It's not the same for Argentina. But that's really something, it's not a concern at all. Don't bother speaking Spanish. Now, Argentinian culture is mostly influenced by America, so American English is better understood than British English. Australian English, I'm sorry you're gonna have a bad time, but it's okay.
It's okay. I think I'll be okay there with my English there. But
Well,
no, that's a great answer.
your
Sorry.
Australian English, though, it is as pretty as it can sound. POAP had a team member in Australia, and that was a pain.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I mean, I think I know what you mean there. But it's good that you made the distinction between Buenos Aires and the rest of kind of Argentina there. That's something that I think a lot of people don't necessarily know. I mean, I would say that I wasn't kind of aware of that to an extent. But yeah, it makes total sense. So yeah, great distinction there. So next up here, we have a few questions around safety and around kind of personal security. So the first one here is: can people wear jewelry in Buenos Aires, such as watches, kind of rings, things like that, or is that just going to make them a target to get kind of robbed, basically?
Um, it doesn't make you a target, but safety is a concern.
Mhm.
As any large metropolis, there is crime. What kind of precautions you have to take? It varies according to your risk profile, but my easy rule of thumb is that you have to take the same precautions that you take in New York City or London or San Francisco, which are way higher than the ones you would take in Taipei or Tokyo or Singapore, to put some extreme example of extremely safe places. I imagine most people would tell you to not wear flashy jewelry on any of those cities that I have mentioned. Now, on the other hand, because I can give some data points that are not my opinions, there are luxury watches storefronts in many neighborhoods. Like there's 10 different Rolex dealers, and you may see lots of jewelry places. So people do wear jewelry, and they are okay. My advice, if you are not an expert in Buenos Aires and it's the first time you come, is that you don't call it for getting yourself a bad time. But beyond that, things like personal security, like what people think when they went to Mexico for DevCon 3 in Cancun and such, that's not something people do. People don't go to places with bodyguards. Vitalik Buterin has been here several times. He's always been doing his routine, like going out and running and such, and had no issue. Now, again, a street crime exists. You are not supposed to be navigating with your phone like this if you are doing Google Maps. You ideally remain low key. Now, it's casual crime. I haven't heard in the last 5 or 10 years of organized crime of the kind that they knew you were coming to a crypto conference and someone was targeted. Also, the organizers of Devconnect, the Ethereum Foundation, are running this whole thing with the government, and the government has heightened measures for these kind of events. So safety, as I said, don't do anything stupid, but beyond that, exercise normal new global city security caution.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I think that's good advice, especially, the examples that you gave of other major cities around the world. I think a lot of people have been to those cities, so they're probably familiar with kind of what to do there and what not to do. So, yeah. So on that note as well, I guess the venue for Devconnect, I mean, there's multiple venues, but like the main kind of venue is in, I'm going to maybe butcher the pronunciation here, but it's La Rural or something like that.
You can just
Yeah,
say Palermo, the neighborhood.
okay, yeah, Palermo. Is that kind of safe to walk around during the day, especially at night? Like, can people just kind of casually walk around like they would in their own cities? What's it kind of like in that neighborhood and maybe the surrounding neighborhoods there?
The location of La Rural is very centric. It is in a very lively area. There's people coming and going. There's 24-hour shops. It's a place that has constant traffic, and it's on the richer side of the city. Wealthy people live near La Rural, like politicians and actors and influencers. So Palermo, that area, it's assumed to be mostly safe. Now, because there are richer people, it might also make it be unsafe for some style of casual crime, but it's not expected. Also, another benefit of Palermo is that there's no um, there's no sources of a criminal activity like some shanty towns or slums that might be in other areas. That has to be said. As much as I present Buenos Aires as an exciting metropolis that's gonna blow everyone's mind, we have to also bring up that there are some areas on which the government has failed to establish control. Not that they are completely out of control, but none of those areas are near Palermo. So the area around rural, it's considered fairly safe, and I don't think anyone should take a different personal safety measure beyond that. Now, the other problem, and I think it's going to be covered in other questions, is that it might also not be the only place you will go and the most exciting thing for you to see. Many of the side events are fairly far and spread around. So even if La Rural and Palermo are fairly safe, that's not all you need to know for Buenos Aires.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think, as I said earlier, Devconnect is not just one venue; it's many different venues, and as you mentioned, there's many different side events as well. So, yeah, I think depending where you go is obviously going to be different. And, maybe nighttime is going to be less safe than during the day, of course. But like on that note as well, obviously at conferences people love to party, right? It basically is one big party in of itself, but people like to check out the local bars and clubs and things like that. So when they do this, do they have to worry about things like their drink being spiked or, violence there or kind of rubbing up against the wrong sorts of people? I mean, this is probably like a general thing, I guess, like, major cities around the world have these things, but is there anything specific
Oh,
to
there are
kind of,
specific things, absolutely.
yes. Yeah, yeah.
Buenos Aires is big on Paris, and it has a fairly developed party culture. So, for example, all the party venues have more or less reliable security procedures, and it's highly unlikely that you find yourself in a dark bar that has really things going on that you don't want to be involved. Um, the party culture is so developed that you can trust that it's all gonna be more or less okay. Of course, again, you have to exercise caution, but at the beginning it was kind of during weekends, but it started on Thursday. From Thursday to Sunday, the party areas, and there are many, they are in a constant state of party. So I think you're gonna find it more relaxed and easier than most places. It may be a little chaotic with Devconnect people that might be a little clueless. So that's why we are putting together this show too, so they aren't so clueless doing silly things. But going out and doing this kind of social activity, including alcohol and other substances, it's again considered more or less safe. Um, Getting your drink spiked could happen anywhere, but it's not something that you hear here often. Like when that happens, it makes news. Like someone got something and they got their apartment stolen. So you can be more or less relaxed. One little advice that applies to everyone every time: don't go out on your own. If you don't have friends or contacts and you are not into wild stuff, go out with a buddy and make sure you check on each other to see how things are going. If you are going to take an Uber ride, you don't want to be a lonely woman anywhere. Even in Australia, you don't want to be a lonely woman at night on an Uber. So that's a basic advice that I hope it's not necessary, but that's the answer, meaning nothing specific to worry about beyond the kind of things you would worry at home anyways.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. And I just wanted to kind of pause for a second and say we are getting a lot of questions about money and currency in Buenos Aires. We're going to get to those. We're just going through the kind of social safety stuff first. So yeah, to people in the YouTube chat that are asking these questions, rest assured we will get to those because that is definitely an important thing. There on the topic of kind of, I guess, like nightclubs and bars, we had questions around kind of drugs and the situation in Buenos Aires around different drugs. Like, what's the legal situation of something like, weed? Is it legal there? Is it not? Like, I don't know this personally. So yeah, kind of, is it legal, illegal? Like, what's the view there? And people actually ask us like where to get it. I mean, obviously, we're not going to tell people kind of where to get it. But yeah, like, what's the kind of situation around drugs in Buenos Aires? We had to ask this as it was a question that was kind of posed to us.
I would say it's fairly relaxed. It's more relaxed than in America. It's more relaxed than in Australia. It's more relaxed than in France. People use recreational drugs a lot. It's not fully legal, but it is tolerated, both soft and hard drugs. Again, you need to be responsible of what you put in your body, but I know people that go to random raves randomly and get random drugs for random dealers that they meet at the rave floor, meaning like the highest risk thing you could do, and they never have any issue. So you can tell there is a fairly developed culture. Again, you better get advice from a local. Local people will help you sourcing drugs. But again, sourcing all kinds of drugs seems to be very easy. I never done it, so I can't tell in practice, but I've seen how this works. And responsible usage seems to be absolutely okay. And another funny drug-related story and fact, prescription drugs are really easy to get to. Like once I was in Germany for an event with POAP, and we had a POAP team member that needed some, what in America would be like a serious prescription, like clonazepam or something like that. And he was a person that needed it regularly and had forgotten it on the plane or something. And that person had to go to a doctor and get some waivers and then to a pharmacy. It was all a big deal. If that were to happen to you in America, I guess you're absolutely fucked and broke. In Argentina, you can probably show up to any pharmacy, explain that you have forgot your prescription, whether it's clonazepam, modafinil, whatever of those, even Adderall, and you can probably like a 1 week dose of, you can get with no issue. So you can see that drug culture seems to be way more relaxed than almost everywhere else.
Mm-hmm. Yep, makes sense. Great. But yeah, as we say, we're not going to tell people where to get their drugs if they want them. Sorry, guys, you're on your own there. Okay. And okay, I guess like changing gears here a little bit. So, what's kind of Buenos Aires like for, I guess, like minority groups like LGBTQ and trans people and things like that? Like, is it a safe place for them? Are they going to kind of, be walking down the street and just have people kind of calling them out, or stuff like that? Like, is it safe for people like that? Because obviously there is a large concentration of those people within crypto and within the Ethereum ecosystem. We're all about expressing ourselves and making sure that we kind of welcome everyone. Is Buenos Aires like that? Do they share the kind of same welcoming spirit that Ethereum does?
Buenos Aires is as friendly as it can be. Same-sex marriage has been legal for 10 or 15 or 20 years. And before so, it was kind of de facto legal. If we ever have some sort of attack to set minorities of any kind, again, it makes news because how rarely it happens. I can't think on one single place where if you are doing flashy minority stuff, call it somehow like same-sex kissing or something, I can't think on one place that could be frowned upon. Again, this applies to Buenos Aires. You do this in Argentina and they call the cops. Because Argentina's countryside may have a way more religious and conservative lifestyle. But in Buenos Aires, you see gay people kissing and holding hands and doing that kind of things, or whatever thing they want to do, dressing however they want it. Nobody bats an eye, nobody cares. If you are unlucky and a gay couple get on a taxi and the taxi driver, it's on the little group of people that don't like that kind of lifestyle, they may tell you something, but that's as far as it can go. So more or less, don't be afraid. There's plenty of trans people. There's even a trans people area where trans people get together to know each other. And again, nobody seems to care particularly about that. So that's good.
Yeah, yeah. And on that note as well, kind of, I think, some people may be aware that the political situation in Argentina generally has been, I guess, like, I don't know if I'd call it unstable, but it's been it's been wild from what I can see from the outside looking in, and that applies to all of kind of Argentina there. But what's the kind of political climate like? Like the question we have here is like, will people get triggered if I wear my MAGA hat in Buenos Aires? I don't know why you would do that, to be honest, because it's like bringing outside politics in. But yeah, like what's the political climate like? Is it, will people kind of attack you for kind of expressing your political beliefs or things like that?
It is high tension. It's
Mhm.
been wild for 20 years. There are very passionate groups of people that would be willing to get into a fight because of political opinions. Um, Crypto people are lucky in the sense that the government in office is friendly to crypto. Um, but it can get like if you go to agitate, doing inflammatory statements and picking up for a fight, you will find a fight. Um, the political climate is especially delicate. So I would advise to only engage in political conversations if you are really looking to see how it is, not just casually. Some people ask casually, like maybe you could ask casually your taxi driver, what do they think about Milei? And the taxi driver might be against Milei, and that could derail your trip, and he might tell you, get out of my car. So nothing particularly to worry about because this is kind of any countries. I'm sure if you take a taxi in America and you make comments against the party that they like, you would also be told to get out. I remember once in Istanbul in Devconnect, I was in a taxi with like 5 other people. It was a big van-like vehicle, and the taxi was trying to be friendly, and he asked, where are you guys from? And well, I'm from Argentina. And some other guy says Italy. And there's a guy that remains quiet, and the driver is like, you wouldn't be from America, right? Because I hate America. And he's like, no, I am from the UK. Um, so I guess in that sense, Argentina, it's a little like Turkey, if you like it. But again, it doesn't ever get too hard. And unlike Turkey, on which minority harassment is tolerated, because, for example, in Turkey, apparently, if you were Jewish, you were supposed to lay very low because being Jewish could be kind of illegal. It never gets so extreme here. You may have your political opinions. Some people may hate them, but you shouldn't ever expect violence out of that.
Mhm. Makes sense. Makes sense. Definitely. All right. So we still have a lot of questions to get through. So I'm just going to kind of maybe try to be a bit more rapid fire about them here. So you mentioned kind of earlier about access to prescription drugs and what to do, if you kind of get sick. And that's one of the big questions we have here. It's like, if you do get sick in Buenos Aires, how easy is it to access medical care and, drugs and things like that in order to make yourself feel better? Because as we know, when you go to conferences, there is a very high chance of you getting sick because people flying in from all over the world, there's germs everywhere. I mean, I've been sick multiple times at conferences. So yeah, should you be worried if you get sick, or is it easy to kind of access the care that you need?
This is another question on which the answer for Argentina is extremely different from the answer of Buenos Aires. So for Buenos Aires, no worries whatsoever. You don't even need kind of insurance. The city has a very solid hospital network. They are in every neighborhood. They are fairly reliable. I have gotten, and it's all free, like it's for everyone, no questions asked. I have gotten service like when I had a bicycle crash, and another time I had another bicycle crash and also a scooter crash. I crash a lot, as you can tell. And I always,
Two-wheeled transportation devices don't like you.
I am responsible for my own choices. Even if they love me, I have made themselves be on big issues. But no, this is something that the Buenos Aires city runs extremely high. You don't need to worry about anything. Now, if something happens to you in Argentina, like if you went to the countryside and you need anything, healthcare, try to get back to Buenos Aires as soon as you can, because healthcare in the rest of the country can be very poor. But beyond that, I'm not sure if it's proud because it costs us a lot. Like the cost of having this solid hospital network is really high for the taxpayers. But again, for you coming a couple of weeks, you can assume that in the unfortunate case that you need any kind of hospital assistance, you will be able to get it with no questions asked and no concerns and for free.
Yep, sounds good. And I guess on that note as well, in terms of getting kind of help within Buenos Aires, if something happens to you and you need to call the local police or you kind of need to get assistance from them, is that a good idea? Or the question reads here, are they involved with, local gangs? Are they corrupt? What's the kind of situation with law enforcement in Buenos Aires?
Again, another one of those that Argentina and Buenos Aires are extremely different. The police force of Buenos Aires, the city, is fairly okay. They even have a couple police stations, like in places like Palermo and Retiro, where they are specialized on tourists. So you will find people that speak good English, and that they will, like, if you get your passport stolen, they will help you out. They may drive you to the embassy of your country or have someone from your country help you out. I don't know the locations of those police stations by memory because, well, maybe because I am from Buenos Aires, but you can assume that the police force in Buenos Aires is fairly reliable. Now, that doesn't still fully, like if you get something stolen and it's really minor, don't waste your time, or if stolen, or if you have any safety issue, don't waste your time going to a police station as if it's useful, because you will be there for 2 hours writing a report that nobody will ever read. So don't assume that that makes any sense. And the police, unfortunately, is also known for having some pockets of corruption. So there could still happen that you find abusive or police forces behaving inappropriately. That wouldn't be completely unseen. Again, a lot like in America and other countries.
Mm-hmm. Yep, makes sense, definitely. So every culture is different around the world, and they all have their own kind of nuances and kind of social cues. Is there anything specifically in Buenos Aires that people should avoid doing in that respect, or should do to kind of, I guess, make the local people more comfortable with them? Obviously, speaking the native language is a big way to, I guess, relax people around you, no matter what kind of place you're in the world. But is there anything specific to Buenos Aires that people can do to make it a more relaxed, I guess, experience with the locals?
There's plenty. Argentina people, this applies to the whole country, are very proud of their culture, and we all have our own ways of doing different things, and there are nuanced that we exercise with commitment. I'm not sure it makes sense, and given that we seem to have more questions than time for answering them, that we delve into those nuances. But certainly, and it's not that there's something that you shouldn't do, like there is a mosque that you shouldn't, whatever you don't do next. There's nothing like that. But certainly there are lots of cultural ways of doing things, like the mate thingy. People are very proud of their mate drink. I don't drink mate, but it is a big deal, and there are some other big deals. But overall, if this is a superficial call for the do's and don'ts, there's no particular don't. And I personally don't like when people try to fake blend with my culture. So if you are going to be here only for these 7 days and you don't really have a deep interest on how we do things, don't even bother trying to do it our way. That's not going to get you brownie points or anything.
Mm-hmm. Yep, sounds good. All right, last question on safety before we move into the money questions, which I think most people are concerned about. So everyone's got a smartphone, right? And it's got our whole life on it, and we need to keep it secure and safe. But like, how common is it to get your smartphone stolen? And are there kind of any tips that you can give for people to protect themselves if it does get stolen, so that the person who steals it doesn't get access to like everything, doesn't get access to your crypto, your email, everything like that?
Um, this is a concern. There are underage people that are fully focused on stealing smartphones. Like if you are sitting on a cafe or a co-working place, not a private co-working place, but in any place that you are not alert of your belongings, and you let your phone resting or charging mindlessly, it's gonna be stolen quickly. Or even if you are out of battery and you are in a bar and you put it on the windowsill because it was the closest place next to the power outlet, I'm gonna steal it so you learn your lesson. And eventually I may give it back to you. But yeah, this is something to take a special attention to. What do you do if your phone gets stolen? I mean, that you should do anyways if you're not coming to Buenos Aires, having your phone locked down and properly secured, and your cloud accounts with all second factor. I mean, you are in crypto. If you are not doing all these things already, you are not gonna be unscratched for too long.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. And I think, as you said, there's lots of basic things people can do to protect their accounts that they should be doing already. One thing that I guess like we discussed before the call was that on iOS, at least, there are some apps that support this, where essentially to open the app, it will ask you for authentication again, so for Face ID or something like that. But most apps don't support this, but you can actually apply this to every app by using the Shortcuts app in iOS that allows you to essentially say, when I open this app, require Face ID or something like that. I'm sure there's an equivalent on Android to do this, and this will protect you against someone stealing your phone when you've got it unlocked, right? Just right out of your hands because you're looking at Google Maps or whatever it is, because that is the main concern. Obviously, if they steal it and it's locked, I mean, if you've got a good passcode and everything, it's it's going to be near impossible, if not impossible, for them to do anything with it. They're probably just going to sell the parts on it or something like that rather than do anything. But you don't want people getting access to your emails and stuff like that, because then they can get access to potentially everything. So yeah, all right, let's move on to the money questions. Now the big one, I guess the big headliner here, is around kind of inflation in Argentina generally. I think most people are aware of this at this point, but is it true that Argentina as the country still lives for its local currency with triple digit, double digit inflation? I guess like applies to the whole country here.
It does. Inflation has been a huge issue for 20 years, if not more. We did have several years of three-digit inflation. Most other years were two-digit, like high two-digit. So inflation has been installed in all conversations and lifestyle, and it has sucked a lot. But for the last couple years, and especially in 2025, it has gotten way below tolerable levels. We are not talking about inflation anymore. If we talk about inflation, it's about how quickly it has been left behind after several things have been changed on the economy. So you don't particularly need to anticipate something as you had to before, like don't get so much cash because it may depreciate by the time you want to use it. That's no longer a thing. It used to be a thing. You can hear endless horror stories about how it was to live with three-digit inflation, but currently we don't think about that anymore.
Mm-hmm. And on that note, so I guess like because things have changed considerably, I know in the past it was suggested that everyone should just use US dollars because everywhere accepts US dollars. But can people now use both US dollars and the local currency? And I guess like what's the best way to get cash in Argentina as well, like without getting stung with fees? And what currency should they use, and should it be cash, something else? Yeah.
These days, for travelers that are here for only a couple days or a couple weeks, it's not too different from any other country that you may visit, meaning that you can assume that most places will take credit cards, both physical and contactless. So you can use Apple Pay or whatever Google uses for contactless payment. There might be some outlier cases, especially out of Buenos Aires. Again, this applies to Buenos Aires. If you go to other parts of Argentina, you may not find one ATM, which is insane, but it still happens in some remote parts of Argentina. In Buenos Aires, you may go the whole week by without ever getting a banknote. Now, my advice though, if you're gonna be here for a full week, it's useful to get some cash to go by. It's easy to get cash. You can either withdraw from an ATM and it's gonna have the reasonable rates that you may have gotten in any other country out of your home country. The American dollar is fairly accepted everywhere, so you may never touch the local currency. Getting some local currency can always be handy, but you don't need to do big planning about this. You may see either you get it at the airport or nearby your hotel, but it's not a major concern.
Yeah, and I know from, I guess, like I guess over the last few years, people have spoken a lot about businesses in Buenos Aires accepting Tether and USDC, and that being prevalent everywhere, especially Tether on the Tron network. That's been spoken about a lot. Do these places still accept the USDT, Tether, and USDC, and is that preferable to USD cash or the local currency?
They never did. That was never real.
Okay.
You may find some place like a hardware store if you needed to buy a hammer, and the owner of the hardware store is into shitcoins because there's plenty of shitcoin talk, and maybe he would give you his Binance deposit address, but self-custodial crypto or crypto checkout in regular commerce has never been a thing more than it is in Australia. Like I've been to Sydney and every once in a while I've seen some place that had a super cringe Bitcoin accepted here sign. You may see one like this, but don't come here assuming that you can do like crypto native checkout because it's not gonna work. You're gonna be hugely disappointed.
Okay. That's good to know. So then, yeah, I guess like the preferred thing is kind of cash, USD, or I guess like the local currency here. But yeah, I think we just spoke about it. But yeah, is the ATMs the best way to kind of get cash out without being stung with fees, or is there a better way? I mean, not all ATMs are created equal either, right? There's different kind of types of ATMs.
Well, here there's only two main networks, and they all have the same ballpark fee. I mean, for getting cash, the other obvious option is off-ramping crypto, which is something that you can easily do. There are some services that do non-KYC cash deliver to your hotel premises, and for amounts up to $1,000, that might be the easiest option. There are some Telegram groups. One little advice for everyone coming to Devconnect that applies to everything you may need is join some chat groups on which there's people that can help you out. A low-hanging fruit is the official Devconnect Telegram group. For joining that one, you have to validate that you have a SUPAS ticket, and there's plenty of local people there that are willing to help you out. Then you may join your whatever country you are coming from group. So there's, for example, an Indians in Argentina group. I have been to India a couple of weeks ago and I found lots of people from India coming, and maybe 10 of you pull the off-ramping transaction the first day, and each of you exchanges $200 worth of crypto, and you make the cash delivery person only come once. So joining a local group seems to be a no-brainer. If you don't have a local group, you may join POAP's Telegram group, which is like POAP XYZ, and we may help you out if you need to get cash or something. EthStaker is having their main summit. There's going to be some communities around it. Join the EthStaker Discord. For anything you need to do cash-wise, well, as I said before, with going to Paris, try to find a buddy. So things are going to be easier for you and everyone.
That makes sense. And I guess like outside of kind of cash, using credit cards, is skimming a kind of worry? Like, I mean, it's a thing, right? Like, is that like a common thing within Buenos Aires? Do people have to worry about that? So yeah.
It's the same as everyone else, meaning that every once in a while you see news of an ATM that had a highly sophisticated hack with a new keypad and some camera hidden on the ceiling so they could steal your credit card information, or maybe on the gas station they have the classical skimming thingy. But it's not worse than in any other country. People swipe all the time. Even here, something that some foreigners found really uncomfortable is that sometimes, now it's not happening so much, but the restaurants, even the fine dining places, had the credit card swiping thingy at the cashier desk, and they would leave your table with your card and your ID, and nobody would care. They don't take a picture of it and then use it for any kind of whatever darknet trade. You can exercise minimal caution, but it's not that you have to be particularly mindful that people will steal your credit card. These days, all credit cards have anti-fraud protection. It's unlikely that they can get away with it effectively.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that covers most of the questions we had about kind of money in Argentina and or in Buenos Aires, I guess specifically. Seems pretty straightforward. Seems very similar to other places in the world. And it was good advice to people to kind of join those Telegram chats. And I mean, I will say, be careful not to get kind of scammed in those Telegram chats. Like, there's always kind of things that slip through the cracks, and you get linked to various things. So just exercise normal kind of precaution there. And I'm sure there's plenty of resources online as well if people need additional information here, but they can also kind of ask around within crypto. I mean, it's funny, within the crypto ecosystem there's plenty of people that are from kind of Argentina, from Buenos Aires, from South America generally. It seems to be like an outsized kind of population within crypto. So yeah, plenty of help for you out there if you need more help with that, but seems pretty straightforward there.
Before we
Now,
continue with the
oh,
questions,
yep,
because it looks like we are going to run out of time, and I have
yeah.
a couple of things to plug because we are not doing this for free. Devconnect has, I don't know why she has so much
She
Argentinian
said in the
currency.
chat, you guys want to see $80.
No, that's more than $80. She has some 10,000s there.
No, I counted it. This is $80. It's left over from last time I left Argentina, and I was like, oh, I must have a lot of cash.
Well, that's gonna come handy.
Yeah, bring that.
So the couple of things that I have to plug are related to nice events that will have nice pop-up for people to get. The main one I recommend, it's the EthStaker Summit. The EthStaker Summit is it's hosted at arguably the top museum in the country, which is called Malva, in a super rich part of town where the embassies are located. The EthStaker Summit still has tickets for sales. This museum is not huge, so it's expected that the tickets will run out. So you should secure your EthStaker Summit ticket. They are going to give you a pretty pop-up and very possibly a good experience. Sassali is a speaker on that event. So if you had a good time here, if you also got aroused by such sexy accent, you can get more of it at the EthStaker Summit. Then there's a bunch of events that will give pretty pop-ups. I cannot name them all, but some highlights, either because I like the people or they are hiding pop-up and they are giving us money, so I'm kind of contractually required to promote them, or just because I think they are good opportunities. Some of those events are DeFi Connect. That's expected to be very neat in a pretty large venue. Then the Uniswap team is doing a soccer cup, like a really ambitious thing prior to Devconnect. And it's getting lots of traction and there's some excitement. Of course, the ETH Global events, we are all very excited about both Pragma and the Hackathon. Edge City, it's a pop-up city happening 2 weeks prior in Patagonia. It's also looking like it's going to be fairly exciting. There's not much information available yet, but Polygon is putting together an event called Money Rails that's also looking good. There's a pretty low-key event in the southern part of Chile before Devconnect called a Stable Retreat, which is mostly for the stablecoin industry people. That's also expected to be at a fairly secluded location, like a pretty exciting experience. Of course, there's going to be a very neat pop-up at the La Rural, the main co-working space run by Ethereum Foundation. And there might be some others, but these ones were the one that I really needed to plug before we finished.
Yeah, no, that's good, I think. And yeah, I mean, there are a lot more questions to get through still, and we're going to run out of time for today. So maybe Patricio, like from the questions that kind of we have here in terms of the categories, I don't know if you have it in front of you. Which ones do you think we should hit on for the
No,
last maybe?
I don't have the list. Can we have the people monitoring YouTube? What seems
Yeah.
to be the can't miss questions?
Yes, yeah, we can do those. If Jonathan wants to suggest some there.
Yeah, I mean, I think the money was a big one. Money topics, people were asking about that. There was one about like some about like events, like special events, like soccer games or football, as you guys call it. I don't know. That kind of gets into like a different category, like the entertainment and the culture maybe experience. But
Well, if that's what people want answers for, I can easily try to give a little stab. Going to live soccer games, it's not particularly easy. You can't walk in, you cannot go to a website and buy a ticket. You may have to plan for that well ahead. Like if you really want to see a live soccer game of the main league, the one that makes Argentina known, famous for, you need to start doing your research now, because the hot games typically get sold out more than 4 weeks ahead. So again, get into the groups, find the local, and they may help you out. Don't fall into the tourist traps that might have AdWords or AdSense, or maybe if you're scrolling Instagram and you were craving for seeing a local game, and they will make you feel that, yeah, if you buy this is tailored for foreigners. It's not easy. I have heard of plenty of people that really wanted to see a live soccer game and they couldn't find their way. There are a bunch of reasons why this is so hard. I can't explain them now, but regarding live sports, don't assume that soccer is going to be easy, because it never is. Now, I've heard, and I think it's true, that there seems to be the finals of some polo cup or something happening during Devconnect. That could be easier because the main polo field, it's in Palermo, very close to La Rural, and those typically allow walk-ins. Maybe you have to pay a fee, which could be as high as of $100, but typically it is well justified given the experience that you get. Other experiences like other sports and different entertainment activities, there's plenty of options because again, 10 million people, metropolis, you can find activities for all colors and tastes. My advice would be to have help of a local, and if that's not available for whatever reason, Airbnb has like an activities things that you can hire that has some rated and recommended activities, and I've heard positive stories about it. Unlike Airbnb, the accommodation services, which I'm tired of hearing it fail, the touristic thingy, like the experiences thing where you hire a well-rated local to take you off the beaten path and be your guide for a day, that seems to be pretty good, given what I've heard. Some were asking whether we are willing to go longer. I am able to go longer if that's needed. How about everyone else?
Yeah, I mean, I can go longer. If I'm, you know, it's only 9 a.m. for me. My day's just starting, so I'm happy to go.
So we don't need to do it so rapid fire, because given my personality, I wouldn't like to give incomplete answers. So if we do it rapid fire, it's like yes, but not quite.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We can go through them. I mean, there's a lot of questions per category, but I'll try to like maybe condense them down a little bit so that we don't have to kind of go through every question, because some of them repeat as well. I guess like a big thing obviously is immigration and visas for people flying in. What countries is like, I don't know if maybe you know this, but like which countries are the hardest and easiest to get kind of visas for?
This is something that you guys have to be lenient with, because the immigration policy of Argentina is weird and it doesn't work well. Although constitutionally, the country is open for everyone, like this might be one of the handful countries that on the constitution has like the equivalent of the Second Amendment in America, that anyone can have the weapons they want. In Argentina, anyone, no matter where they come from, they can come and live in the country and get citizenship. And that's why now it's full of Russians and people from other demographics that are having conflict. Nevertheless, being a tourist can be a hassle immigration-wise. Like, for example, a couple days ago when I was coming back from India, I had to be in line for 2 hours at the immigration checkpoint at the main airport. This was on a typical day though, but also it's not completely unheard of. So be patient because everything immigration could be a little shitty, both in the way in and on the way out. There are some countries that unfortunately have a hard time getting visas. The Ethereum Foundation has negotiated a special program that if you come from India or China, and I don't know which other country, they have a fast track, and the fast track is really effective. Like you fill out a little form and you just show that you have a ticket for Devconnect, and the government do a very light review to confirm that this is accurate, and then you get your electronic transfer, your electronic travel authorization right away. Be mindful that the window for this application program closes in like 6 days. So you kind of need to get your visa sorted out fast. Don't assume that you can walk in because you can walk in. Beyond that, I don't think there's any odd requirement like yellow fever vaccine or that kind of bullshit. I don't think there's any of that. But again, immigration can be a hassle. Hopefully you don't have any issue.
Yep. I think that's answered all the questions for immigration there. As you said, Devconnect, the organizers, the Ethereum Foundation, have done a lot of great work there, and they are happy to help with regards to visas and immigration. But as usual, when you're traveling to any foreign country, check everything you can with regards to kind of entry requirements, not just visas and immigration, but just anything, because it varies wildly depending where you're coming from, of course. So on that note, where should people land? There's 2 major airports from my knowledge in Buenos Aires. Which one is better to land at?
It's not that you typically get to pick, because it is true that there are 2 airports that are fairly different. One is mostly for domestic trips, and one is mostly for international trips. One is in Palermo, so that's extremely convenient. Like you might be 10 minutes away from your hotel if you land in Palermo. That's mostly the domestic airport. So the flights that land in that airport are from places like Brazil and Chile and maybe Paraguay, and I don't know if they don't even go as far as Panama, maybe some from Peru. Now, there might be some connections that if when you're booking your trip, it is the same price and the same length to land in Aeroparque, the one in Palermo, than Ezeiza, the one further out. Of course, landing in Palermo is much nicer, but I also wouldn't recommend picking a more expensive trip or a more expensive routing for landing it there. It's not worth the hassle, and I assume 90% of you will land in Ezeiza, which is a large airport. That's not awesome, I have to tell you. It can get messy. Your bags can take a long time coming out of the carousel, so if you can avoid checking luggage, that's good. They do kind of mandatory customs X-ray of luggage. That can also be a major hassle that makes me very ashamed. It can take a long time. They may inspect your items. I doubt that you will have any issue, but that's a thing. A little tip regarding the airports. This applies for both Aeroparque and Ezeiza. You can take Ubers at both. Uber is as reliable as it is in every other country, but the pickup spots are not easy to find. So if you acquire pre-arranged transportation, like on any of the usual websites, and you have a person waiting like for you with a sign like this with your name, that's gonna make your life easier, and the costs are the same. Like the price of the Uber is not much cheaper than having your private driver. Even if you didn't pre-book for whatever reason, once you get out of customs and immigration, you will be offered taxi rides like in every other airport. But those that operate in the airport, meaning that they have a license that the airport has granted for them to have a little office there, those are reliable, those are good, and those have competitive prices. So you may as well do that. Of course, you shouldn't get one of those speakeasy that would tell you like taxi, taxi. Those you don't need to do that. But although Uber works very well everywhere, on the airport trip, I recommend having a private traditional transportation service.
Yeah, yeah, and that's actually a good segue into the next section, which is travel around Buenos Aires generally. You mentioned Uber being kind of as reliable as it is everywhere else, but is Uber the best way to get around the city? Should people be kind of downloading specific apps where they can rent like bikes and scooters and things like that?
Yeah, good question. There's a lot to unpack. Uber is the first option for everything. They have different categories. They don't have Uber Black, just so you know, so you shouldn't expect luxury transportation, but it is the easiest way to move around. They come fairly quickly. They are very affordable. The cars are in good shape. You may even, I think they recently enabled Uber Motorbike, which is a little scary. I never done it, but you may even be a passenger on a motorbike, apparently. I wouldn't recommend anyone downloading a different app, but if you are really stingy on in a low budget, there is a Chinese Uber called Didi, which is a global corporation. It's not a little shitty thing. And Didi apparently operates with lower average fares than Uber. I never taken one in Argentina, but Didi seems to be a thing. And then there might be some local options. Then there's another player called Cabify, but the easy thing for anyone to do is Uber. Then for those that want to live like a local, the transit system, these are the subways and buses and trains, are very convenient, and they have a large network and they are easy to understand and navigate. I'm not sure. Okay, we will do, apparently we are going to do the POAP shortly because someone is telling me to do it, and I don't mind. I think you may buy a transportation card, which you can get in some drugstores. The subway has tap to pay, but I'm not sure it's in all the stations. So TLDR regarding transportation and transit, the transit system is fairly reliable. There might be a little learning curve that you have to ramp up to learn how to use it. So depending on how long you will stay, like if you're coming only for the 5 days of Devconnect, you will probably just do Uber. And if you are taking one in rush hour, it's gonna suck. Like the transit system, the subway is fairly convenient in rush hour, because if in rush hour you want to go from downtown to Palermo, you may be 1 hour in an Uber, while in the subway that was a 15-minute ride. But you may not want to figure out how to ride the subway. So again, find a buddy, ask in the groups, and maybe there's someone from your hotel or from the same side event going to the same other side event you want to go, and there is a local in that group, and you all take the ride, you all ride the subway with him. That would be kind of the smart way to do, because if you figure out the subway, it's like it's a superpower. The subway has plenty of stations in Palermo and everywhere else, but for a foreigner, there is a little learning curve. Regarding bicycles, oh yes, Nixa.
I had something about the buses that freaked me out when I was there. If you try to ride the buses, when you get on, the bus driver will ask you where you're going. So you can navigate with Google Maps, but like know the stop you're getting off at. And the only thing he'll ask you is, where are you getting off? And if you don't speak Spanish, you have no idea what he's asking you, and you freak out, and he's like,
this is kind of the learning curve I was saying you may, because it's not that you need to talk with them. You just have to say Palermo. That's all you need to do. But if you've never done it, you better ride with a local. Was there something
POAP
else?
time?
Oh, yeah, POAP time, but the bicycles.
Sure.
The government runs a public bicycle network. Apparently, I have checked before this call. whether foreigners can use it. Supposedly they can. They have to do some sort of light KYC, like maybe a selfie or something with the app. I have never used it, but it feels like a very popular solution. Like you see those blue bikes coming and going, buzzing all the time. So if you're into bicycles and it makes sense for you, do your homework and check if you can be onboarded on the bicycle system. I think it's free, like for the first 20 minutes or something, which is like 50% of the rides. So yeah, there are bicycles. You may have to figure out how to use them. Now, the pop-up that you get because you were here, you have to open the pop-up app, which by now, hopefully you all have. You tap on the little button in the bottom right corner that says Mint and type into secret word, and you enter the secret word, which is Argentina, and the number 25. Like Argentina only once, because I said it twice, and 25 like the year, and you're getting a pretty pop-up, apparently with the aesthetics of the EthStaker Summit, which is good. And I remind you, there's another pop-up. Remy, can you show the slides for the airship?
Yes, let me show that one.
And am I missing any other plug? Oh, well, there's another plug regarding the other pop-up. So the other pop-up, you have to donate a little cash, like $4 to EthStaker. It's important to remind listeners and everyone in the community, EthStaker is a non-profit, like it's a fully compliant American non-profit corporation. I don't know how they call it. It is run by different volunteers, and it is made possible by the donations of different organizations, including the Ethereum Foundation. But if you ever enjoyed the content put together by EthStaker, if you like that EthStaker exists, you need to be aware that for EthStaker's continuity, fundamental donations are the fundamental lifeline. So this is kind of a plug that I also had to do.
And Remy, you're showing the screen with the instructions on that airship?
Yes, I showed it for a few seconds, but I'll show it again here.
Yeah, I mean, I just always like to call out that the drill with like the process here, and that it is minted on Arbitrum. They do support these too. And it's pretty nice experience to get it because you can use any of those L2s or mainnet to send your 0.001 ETH. So yeah, that's my little bit. We just want to make sure to do it now at the top of the hour, close to it, so that we didn't like so anyone who was kind of had to leave before, but we also want to keep going because I think this has been pretty awesome. A lot to learn. So we can let you guys continue.
Yeah, I was going to meet my airship pop-up, but this is gonna be open for like a full week in case someone is watching the recording. So I will meet my airship pop-up later.
Yeah, till Monday it looks like, or end of day Monday.
Also, it's like 4 days.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. So yeah, I think we covered most of the travel questions. Maybe the last one is like, what's the traffic situation like in Buenos Aires? Is it hard to get around? Is it like Bangkok, where there's just constant traffic from people that went last year to DevCon? You know, what's that situation like?
It's not as bad as Bangkok, but it can be as bad as New York, meaning that on the rush hour of the morning and the rush hour of the afternoon, which is like around 8 and 9 in the morning and 6 and 7 in the evening, things can get really slowly. Like, for example, going downtown to Palermo, which is like the most common trip people will do here, any time of the day that's not rush hour could take you 20 minutes. During rush hour, it can take a full hour. And this is impossible to avoid, so you need to budget it. Especially if you are going to an event that starts during rush hour, and I think many will, or an evening event, you can be strategic and avoid it, or you can figure out the public transportation. But out of those hours, Uber will take you quickly anywhere in the city. So again, this is not something we are proud of, but the city of this scale, it's really hard to get moving permanently smoothly.
And I'm going to assume the walkability, like feasibility of walking around is not that high because things are pretty spread out and it'll probably take you long to walk.
Sure, but something exciting is that there are so many side events and they are so spread around that it's highly likely that at any time you're at walking distance of any side event or main event, whether you are staying. Like if you're staying in Palermo, of course, if you're staying downtown, from what I've been seeing, there's plenty of events downtown too, and in Recoleta and in other areas. And the area where the side events will be happening is very pleasant to walk. So it's not that you will mind. Like this happened to me, where was it? Like in Paris one time that I was going from HCC to somewhere else. And it was like a 1 hour long walk, like several miles away. But it was so pretty that I didn't particularly mind walking for 1 hour. While if you made me walk 1 hour in Bangkok, jumping through open sewer and sellers of street food, and like walking in Bangkok was hard. And also Bangkok had those very ugly freeways that you had to climb stairs up and down 20 times. Buenos Aires is much more like Paris or Manhattan or London, that you can really enjoy some good architecture, maybe see some spot that you want to go for coffee. Buenos Aires has a strong coffee culture. There are coffees in every corner. They will have all the flavors you can imagine. You will be able to shit on them and to say that Buenos Aires coffee sucks like they all do every time, but the experience is pleasant.
Good. And I guess on that note as well, hotels and kind of Airbnbs and places to stay in Buenos Aires, is it better to get a hotel or an Airbnb, and where should people kind of look to stay? Like what area should they look to stay?
Yeah, this is a highly opinionated answer, because it varies to person. So all the recommendations that I've done, people should factor who they are getting them from. Because I have my own personal preferences. I optimize for efficiency. I want people to have a predictable, safe, nice experience. So hotel-wise or accommodation-wise, I say avoid Airbnb, because Airbnb has a very poor arbitration system. Whenever people have an issue with Airbnb, it's fairly common that it doesn't resolve well. This creates lots of unfairness and dispersion and diversity of experiences. And in Buenos Aires in particular, I have heard so many horror stories of people that got maybe not exactly a scam, like not as they got their money stolen, but the places weren't as nice as the pictures promoted, or something was off and the host was late to fix it. And these stories are so common that I'm saying everyone, stick to hotels unless you're in a large group, so you want to rent a house. Hotels are very affordable. Like for $50 a night, you can get a very good hotel. And there's plenty to choose from in all areas. Now, unfortunately for many, Palermo doesn't have many hotels because it's mostly a residential commercial neighborhood. And most of the hotels for international travelers are downtown or in adjacencies of downtown. I know this is not a popular opinion. Some people are recommending visitors to stay in Palermo. My advice is to not stay in Palermo. Stay downtown, or if you have lots of money, stay in Porto Madero or in Retiro. But picking, like, Palermo has some boutique hotels that may have 10 or 20 rooms, and those can be hit or miss. Like you may have a very pleasant boutique hotel experience, or if the faucet was broken and a 20-room hotel doesn't have a permanent maintenance person, maybe you will be with your leaky faucet until they fix it. So again, there are plenty of hotels to choose from. There are some, again, work with your buddies in the groups, and they will help you find the one that fits your budget and makes sense. But the easy recommendation is stick to the chains, like the Marriotts and the Sheratons and the Hiltons and other. There are plenty of chains of all budgets, and don't worry if they aren't close to Palermo. Going back to the walkability aspect, by the way, you can see a pretty sunset of Puerto Madero behind me. Maybe you go to an event that starts at night or in the way of the staking summit, just walk from whenever you go. because the staking summit, as I said, it's in this area that's only for the rich, and all the sidewalks and the building is all highly manicurated, and they all have pretty flowers, and because it's a spring, it's all gonna be blooming. So you can try to do something like that instead of the usual transportation. And I guess that answers the question. Of course, you may stay nearby Palermo and it's all gonna be fine. But if you appreciate consistency and predictability and you don't really want to be taking crap shots, downtown is your choice.
Sounds good. All right, next
And
section.
yeah, and another, sorry, I forgot. And
That's
this
okay.
applies to almost every recommendation. If you have a huge pop-up collection and you need tailored advice, you can drop me a message in Discord on Telegram and I will help you out. But only if you're a passionate pop-up collector.
That's great. Okay, this is something that I actually asked you about a few weeks ago. Food in kind of Buenos Aires, and particularly around, I guess, like dietary requirements. Unfortunately, I can't eat gluten. It makes me sick. It is not a lifestyle choice, which makes things quite hard when I'm traveling. But you kind of, I guess, eased my concerns, because apparently gluten-free food in Buenos Aires is pretty common. But it's not just gluten-free, right? It's vegan, vegetarian, halal, other types of food there. So what's the kind of food culture like in Buenos Aires? Are they catering towards dietary requirements? Is it easy to get food no matter where you go for those requirements? You know, what's the kind of food culture like?
This is a fun one on which, for once, Argentina does better than Buenos Aires on the category of halal food. Because halal food in Buenos Aires, you may find a couple places, like there's a large mosque, there's a couple large mosques, but could you believe that Argentina is home for 1 million Muslims? They live in parts of country that I never visited, but there's a significant Muslim population in Argentina, not so much in Buenos Aires. Now, dietary restrictions, the one good thing is that the city is so large and diverse that if you are willing to find them, there's options for everyone. Now, the most abundant thing, it's everything related to meat and beef and cattle and whatever you call farmland food, because Argentina is huge in beef. And if you are into beef, or even if you're not into beef, but you're willing to try, I recommend going to any grill house, of which you will see endless, because they are really good. For vegan and vegetarian, there are options. There are enough that you don't need to do pre-travel planning. Like, you can assume that there's gonna be a vegetarian or vegan option nearby where you are, especially in Palermo, where all the hip people live. But they aren't as nearly as abundant as everything else. And it's also not safe to assume that places will have a vegan option. It can totally happen that if you're in a group and you are a vegan and you go to a random place, they don't have anything you can eat. So that you have to do some little planning. Now, the gluten-free option, you are lucky that apparently the prevalence of people being intolerant to gluten in Argentina is high, so there's plenty. There is a specific seal that the food has, which is like a piece of wheat. I don't know how you call the leaf of wheat, but it's not the classical gluten-free thing, but you will quickly realize, okay, because it's like a non-stop, like a no parking sign, but with a little wheat plant. So that's how you identify if you are a gluten intolerant. And you can also ask, because this is a common question. It's not that they are gonna look you from the side or anything.
Yeah, well, that's good for me. Like, as I said, I already spoke to you about this personally, and yeah, it was really great. That symbol, it should be pretty obvious to anyone who avoids gluten, and they'll know what you're talking about there. On that note as well, the tap water in Buenos Aires, can you drink it? Should you avoid it? Like, what's the go there?
I drink it, my friends drink it, we all drink it. When you go to a fancy hotel, they will give you bottled water so you feel important, and because there is some stigma, but it is as safe as it could be. And I have never heard in my lifetime anyone getting sick because of the water, not even locals or foreigners. Again, some places because of fear mongering, will tell you so. Like if you go to New York and you ask in a fancy hotel whether you can drink from the tap, they will tell you, how dare you? But no, we all do tap water and we have no worry. Maybe one day, like once in a few months, you feel a little chlorine of it when they clean the pipes, which is kind of a good sign. So nothing to worry about. Be fairly relaxed about drinking from the tap.
Yep, good to know. So the next question is around kind of tipping culture. I know obviously Americans love their tipping culture. Australians don't do tipping. Other places around the world, various different, I guess, tipping cultures. So what's it like in Buenos Aires? Am I going to get kind of weird looks if I don't tip because I'm not used to tipping? So
I mean, you're gonna get weird looks anyways because you are who you are and how you dress and how you talk, but not because of not tipping. Argentina has its own tipping culture, and I kind of like it because tipping happens only when you got exceptionally good service. So if you like your waiter or the experience was good or there's something above average, then you are welcome to tip. And average tips are like in the 10% range, maybe 20%, but it's totally okay to not tip. Nobody will give you a bad look. And if someone is trying to shame you into tipping or something, tell them to fuck off.
Okay, good to know. Next thing, so I read this word as mate, M-A-T-E, but
Yeah.
in Argentina, this is not how to read it. It's mate, I think, if I'm saying it right. And
Right.
like, what's this all about? Like this drink that Argentinians seem to rage about. You know, is it similar to coffee? You know, what is it exactly?
Yeah, it's a lot like coffee. Apparently, the average Argentinian, this applies for both Buenos Aires and the countryside, they are all huge in caffeine. And I say they because I don't drink caffeine or use mate, but they love it. And they use huge amounts, like the caffeine intake. I don't know if it's world record, but it's high. Mate, it's a way of having little doses of caffeine throughout the day easily. How do they do it? They use a leaf, like a tea leaf. It's almost exactly like a tea leaf called yerba. Yerba is how we pronounce it. You will write it yerba or yerba, like with a Y. They put this little, like the tea, how do you call the crunch tea leaves? Whatever you call the tea, they put it on a little cup and they put hot water on it. And they have one little water bottle of hot boiling or nearly boiling water. And that could last for 2 or 4 hours. And many do it a group activity. So it's totally common to see people drinking mate throughout their days. They may offer you mate. It may happen at the events you go. You can try it out. It is fine. I personally don't use it. It's not gonna make you high because it doesn't have lots of caffeine. The interesting thing is that you can have the equivalent of like you take a coffee cup, you have a high that lasts for like 2 hours or 4 hours where you are amped up, and then it winds down and you need another coffee. While by drinking mate, you get the equivalent of 1 coffee cup dose of caffeine throughout a couple hours or the whole day or as long as you want. So this is how they do it. It makes sense trying it. I have heard plenty of stories of people that came to Argentina for 1 week, tried mate, and eventually took it home, and now they are regular mate consumers at home. So it is something worth trying. You may discover a taste or a beverage that wasn't in your radar, and it sounds nice, and it's and you end up liking.
Yep. Sounds good. And on, I guess, the note of drinks in kind of Argentina, Fernet, apparently, if I'm saying it right, I'm probably not saying it right, is quite popular there. So should people try that as well, or other digestives in Buenos Aires?
Yeah, I mean, if you're into drinking, Fernet seems to be a huge deal. I'm not.
I pronounced the T.
I have tried it once. It's extremely bitter. It's amazing how could it be so bitter. But many of my friends and local people are extremely passionate about it. And again, there are some that have tried Fernet here, and now they take it home, like they try to get it at home. But you know something interesting? Apparently, the recipe they use for the Fernet here, it's not sold anywhere else in the world. So you can get Fernet in America. Apparently, it is the same manufacturer of the one in Argentina, but they use a different blend of herbs. Like it happens with the Coca-Cola. Like, you know, in the US, there is a black market of Coca-Cola imported from Mexico, because in Mexico, they still use sugar cane, while or the other sugar, I don't know, but it tastes different. It is kind of the same with the Fernet. So if you never try Fernet and you are into drinking, you should definitely try it, because it's like you need to do it. And if you even tried Fernet in a different country, you should try the one we use here, because you might be surprised.
Awesome.
Oh, that's the mate
Yeah.
that Nix is showing.
Yeah, yeah.
It is very common. You're probably gonna get a mate. Someone is gonna give you a free mate. It is a custom.
This is the coolest mate that I own, definitely.
There is this somewhat controversial thingy that you drink the mate from a straw, like a metal big straw, and you share it with different people, even if they look gross or something. And some people don't like that. I don't mind, but I still don't do mate. So you need to be prepared for that. And if you are not into that, just be polite and say, I decline, or I'm not into drugs. It's not a drug, but if you want people to make fun of you, say that you're not into drugs.
All right. Last thing on food. Are there any kind of, I guess, like particular places that you recommend people should check out in terms of restaurants and bars and things like that? And someone, I think, asked how to get a reservation at Don Julio. So I don't know, or Don Julio, how you pronounce that. Yeah.
This is something that I don't want to offer strong opinions, because my taste is not the mainstream taste. Don Julio has been ranked as the best steakhouse in the world a few times. People that are into, like, foodie people come to Don Julio only to eat at Don Julio. Like, they come to Argentina only to eat at Don Julio. And that's for a reason. The place is awesome. I haven't been in a few years now, but every time I've been, it is the best steakhouse experience money can buy regularly. Like if you are not into a speakeasy or something very boutique. Now, getting reservations at Don Julio is not easy. Like in November, it's likely that by the time November starts, the whole month is fully booked, because it's kind of the high season. And no matter how much money you are willing to put, and maybe if you are willing to put $10,000, someone sells, like, does a brokerage of a reservation. But if you're into grill houses or want to try one, you can go into the Don Julio website today, and I think they have a very shitty booking system that you can do a reservation, and you should confirm by email 10 times, because it doesn't look reliable. But just so you know, there are tens of other grill houses that are as good as Don Julio, and you don't need booking. You can just walk in. And they are in every neighborhood. It's not that you need to go to some specific place. Wherever you will be staying, there will be a grill house that's going to be good. You can trust Google Maps that has fairly accurate ratings, and the reviews give you some intuition. Also, most of the large hotels, like the Hilton and the Sheraton, have quality kitchens, and they probably have the equivalent of grill houses. And it's not, although I make a huge emphasis on beef and steak for a reason, there's plenty of local cuisine that's also fairly good. The pizza and the pasta are world class. Might not be the best in the world, because of course it's about taste, but pizza people tend to say, like, you may have Chicago pizza, New York style pizza, maybe Italian pizza, and Argentina, not literally Argentina, but it's its own category, and I recommend it. So if you're into carbs, Argentina's pizzas are great. And pastas, there's plenty of good options. There's plenty of seafood. I don't eat seafood, so I don't know for a fact, but Argentina has such a long coastline that there's plenty of diversity on the fish you can get, and there are also river fish. So there's endless food options. I've seen on Twitter some highly opinionated lists. I don't want to get into a contest, and I'm not a foodie, so I can't say this is right or wrong. There's plenty of options. You will have to find someone better to give you a tailored recommendation. Yeah, that's kind of a recommendation that you don't come to me to get.
Sounds good. We kind of touched on this before with regards to attractions in Buenos Aires in terms of like football, soccer matches, and you've kind of already run through that. But I guess like most people coming in, tourists, so they want to maybe do some touristy things. Are there any other particular attractions that you think people should check out? Like maybe, it doesn't even have to be paid ones, like just free places around the city to go to visit, things like that. Is there anything in particular you think people should kind of check out?
There are so many. Oh, someone is telling me that I should get if you have a front-facing light, you can easily access and turn on. I would improve
Yeah,
your
it got
webcam
dark for you
video.
real quick there.
Well, it's
It,
taking like 2 hours.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it doesn't get dark this early in November. We are early on the curve for sunsets, and I don't have a front light. I am rarely this late in the office. Buenos Aires is such a large city that I can't think on a particular activity, either paid or not, that you could do if you have one free day. They have for all colors and tastes. If you're into parks, there's kind of an equivalent to the Central Park, like a large park with lakes and little bridges and little corners that are cozy and have pretty thingies. And if you're into running, you can do your jogging or walking there. Then behind downtown, there's like a ecological reserve, which is a large patch of land that's mostly like it's protected. So it's mostly what Argentina would be if humans weren't in it. But there are some trails and you can do some urban hiking. And if you're into books or movies, there's plenty of movie theaters and bookstores, both mainstream and boutique niche. Like that, if you're into books, you may find a little bookstore that's operated by a 70-year-old person that has some rare books, mostly in Spanish though, so I don't know why would you care. But it has that kind of atmosphere that the city is all yours to explore, and you can be exploring it for as long as you. Maybe this is something that Nixo can talk about, since she has lived here and she's the kind of foreigner that would like to get lost and discover new places.
Yeah,
Nixo?
Nick, so if you had any kind of thing you wanted to add there.
I was lost in the YouTube chat talking about mosquitoes and DEET. What are we talking about?
Oh, so Sosal was asking, what's a good day trip activity? Like if you have a free day, what you could do to enjoy it? I'm like, there's more things that I can mention, so I rather don't mention any, but you can wander the streets and find more things that you have bandwidth to consume. So maybe you want to share your experience.
What was the name? What's the name of that place that's north of the city that has a theme park and a market out there?
Yeah, that's Tigre, but that's off city limits. So that requires some little planning. Not a lot of planning, but I was more thinking things you can do out of your hotel.
Yeah, so actually I will say if anybody's able to rent a bike or even take the train, that was an amazing day trip. I love that trip. And it's like you can go find a market with non-touristy things to buy.
Well, yeah, then that's called Tigre, like tiger, but Tigre. And the train runs like every 20 minutes, so you can go and come whenever you want. And for me, it's something that requires a little planning, because the train ride can take like an hour and a half or so. But yeah, everyone that goes there comes back saying that they had a good time, and there might be some like crafty places to buy local gifts, and if you're into wilder things, you can take a boat and they take you to some islands in a delta. So yeah, that's a day trip for someone that really wants to spend a full day doing something out of being between high rises.
There's also the San Telmo market. The San Telmo market's really great, and you can buy good alfajores there.
It's a little like a tourist trap, right? Yeah. So I don't know. I'm a little wary of recommending a tourist trap, but it's not that you're gonna get a scam, it's just that it's all for you. I mean, if you're into Instagram pictures, you can get some good Instagram pictures.
Cleats because plays football. Or has
Great,
an
good to
excuse why they don't play football.
Yeah. They're missing a leg.
No, seriously. Anytime you're like, oh, do you play? They're like, oh, I got injured a couple years ago. I just don't play because I got injured.
Yeah. Fair enough. Cool. And yeah, I'm sure if anyone kind of wants and has planned to maybe kind of spend another week in Argentina, they're going to be looking up guides online of what to see and what they're interested in. As was said, this is very personal, what you're interested in. Like, not everyone's interested in the same thing. So yeah, there's plenty of stuff online for people who want to do that there. Okay, so I think that was it for, I guess, kind of the attraction side of things. We do have some miscellaneous questions here that like didn't fit into any other categories, but I guess the thing that's going to affect all of us is how's the weather in November, like for Buenos Aires. I know that a lot of people coming from, I guess, the Northern Hemisphere, which is most of the planet, are going to be surprised that it's summer maybe and warm there, which is weird for me because usually when I cross so many time zones, it is an opposite season to what it is in Australia. But this time around, it's going to be like summer where I live and summer, warm in Buenos Aires. But, is it warm? Is it humid? How should people dress? Shorts and t-shirt? What's the kind of go there?
It's certainly, no matter what ends up happening, whether it rains or not, it's certainly short sleeve weather. Short sleeve weather, shorts, flip-flops, it's kind of normal.
Recording stopped.
Maybe not flip-flops if you're going to a conference, but it's gonna be hot. Hopefully it's gonna be pleasant hot and not unpleasant hot, but the assumption is you're going to a summer place.
And I guess this is kind of particularly of concern for me. Do you need to wear sunscreen? Is it a good idea to wear sunscreen? In Australia, if you're not wearing sunscreen, you're going to get burnt within 10 minutes. So is it similar in Buenos Aires?
Nobody does, but I see you on this call, like I see Remy and Jonathan and Nixo and you're all so white that maybe you do need a little sunscreen.
Yeah, I think I definitely do. I get, like, the sun hates me. Like, I get burnt very, very quickly.
It can get pretty scorching. Not Australia scorching, but if you are really white and you've never been to a place where summer gets hot and sun strikes hard, you may need a little skin protection.
Yeah. And on that note as well, should people bring their own, or is it readily available in kind of drugstores?
Oh, people here, women especially, are big into skincare. So there's abundance of skincare products in any corner.
Great.
Also,
Sounds good.
It's not like the US where like you have to like travel far to stores. Like on every single block there are pharmacies, grocery stores. Like there's an abundance of tiny stores here. I'm not
Great. And I guess like another big thing that we didn't touch on was coverage in terms of cellular coverage. People are going to be getting things like eSIMs or just like foreign SIM cards when they land. Is cellular coverage good in Buenos Aires?
I understand you're a millennial, so I forgive you. SIM cards are no longer a thing. Like the phones don't have a slot anymore.
I've got an eSIM. I'm with it. Come on. I'm not that old yet.
The cell coverage is pretty good. There's 5G in the whole city. You may find a little pocket, like if you're in the subway, but even the subway has good coverage. If you get an eSIM before traveling, it's gonna be cheaper. If you get it on the ground, it might be slightly more expensive. But also most people, like the usual conference attendee, they don't even do anything because they all have like global T-Mobile or AT&T or whatever, and those work okay. So don't stress out about anything connectivity. And Wi-Fi, it's also widespread. So any place you go will give you the Wi-Fi code, whether it's a Starbucks, there's a Starbucks in every corner. So you don't have to do anything specific to remain online. Some people are traveling with their Starlink, which I think it's a very wise choice. Like if you have a Starlink Mini and you thought on bringing it, yeah, that could make sense. especially if you're going to the countryside, because Argentina is such a large country that if you go to anywhere touristic, having your own Starlink could be handy.
Mm-hmm. Yep, sounds good. And I guess probably the last thing, power sockets, kind of the power socket that Argentina uses, which I just found out after Googling that it's the same as Australia.
Right. It's the only two countries that use this weird socket. So you need to be prepared to get an adapter. If you don't have one, all the hotels will help you out. But yeah, it's a really weird socket that only Australia and Argentina uses.
Yeah,
And
which I'm glad I don't have to bring an adapter. That's handy. But yeah, it is definitely very weird. But yeah, I'm sure people have their travel adapters if they avid conference goers, so they know the go there.
that's a trick that Argentinians do a lot. Now you will learn about this. If you have an American adapter and you are very strong or you have pliers, you can twist it a little and it works. And you may damage the socket, but this is kind of something that I'm saying now, and I totally expect people to come and saying, could you believe that I've done the trick with the power socket? Because the American is two parallels, but if you bend them, like you really have to be very strong or have tools, you can bend them and they kind of fit very awkwardly, and it's a fire hazard.
Yeah, I was going to say probably not recommended that people do that, or else you're not only going to lose your hotel deposit, you may not leave the country.
Oh, every tourist does it so often that the hotels are fairly used to it.
Okay, fair enough. That's funny. Okay, so yeah, I mean that's I guess like most of the stuff there. We've gone pretty long here, unless there's other critical questions that other people think that we haven't covered or should cover, or maybe questions from the chat. I don't know if we wanted to start kind of wrapping it up there, because we have gone for a while now.
Jonathan?
Yeah, I think we've gotten to a lot of the things. I mean, there's just so many questions about just specific things like the alpha horror was something. I'm probably mispronouncing that. People were asking about that.
Yeah, I guess they can
Different things to try.
have them join the POAP Telegram channel, and we may do some follow-ups. And also follow us in social media, because we are planning some good stuff for the raffle. You really don't want to miss it. It's not clear how we will do the logistics, but one of the prizes we are considering is getting some little city tour by me. So if you are coming and you want to see the things that I really want you to see that you couldn't see otherwise, maybe if we find the time, I take you out, or I take you to dinner to a place that you wouldn't have gone on your own. So the raffle is expected to go beyond the monetary prize. So stay tuned to that.
Can I ask you to hit on two very quick questions?
Yes, of course.
Number of cheek kisses.
So default is 1. Less than that is too little. More than that, it's awkward. It can happen, both less and more. But yeah, people kiss all the time, even if they are completely strangers and on the opposite sex.
Okay, the other one is it Argentine? Is it Argentinian?
Depends who you ask. And I don't even know what's I don't think there's a correct one. We say Argentine, but some say Argentine, and it's not even worth fighting for. It's not like POAP and Pope, which I say it's POAP. Argentina, whatever you want. Oh, and by the way, many say Archie.
Oh God, there are 4 now. Argentine, Argentinian.
Archies. Yeah, Archies has between younger people, they shall say Archies, which would be Argentos.
Well, it's like people call Australians Austrian.
Well, it's not so bad. No, it's more like Aussie.
Cool. Yeah, I guess, yeah, Jonathan, if there's anything else, I guess from the chat as well.
I don't know if there's anything else. Keep the questions coming though. I mean, before this, we tried to really collect a lot of questions over social media and like on Reddit and everything, and just directly people asking. So, I mean, keep the conversation going after. I think that was a good call to action, Patricio. Like, come to the Discord, talk about it, ask about it. It's gonna be a cool place to go to and get together. And also, make sure to come to the staking gathering. I think that it's going to be an awesome event, and you got a lot of great speakers there, Anthony among them. So we're really excited about that. And yeah, also just like an amazing venue. I've heard so many good things about Malba and the Palermo neighborhood, and we're gonna have like awesome meals and like authentic food. So it's gonna be a really cool experience.
I'm surprised you guys managed to book the Malva. Every person I told them here locally, they were like, "Can you rent it?"
So that'll be, yeah, we got it. It's gonna be fun. It's a very cool venue. Yeah.
You may even leak that it comes with a private tour for the museum facilities.
Yeah, it's really like the whole event is going to be the talks for most of the day, but then the night is going to be like a social dinner, cocktail hour type of experience with Argentine wines and also viewing the museum. So you're going to get to view these like modern art exhibits, and it looks like a very cool place.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us this time. If you have a follow-up, you know where to do them. And otherwise, wish you a very pleasant trip to Argentina.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Thank you
thanks,
so much,
everyone.
guys.
Thank you.